All right, let's bring in our guests. We have in the studio engineer Dilichukwu Joe Etigbue. He's the director, Erosion, Flood and Coastal Zone Management Department. That's from the Ministry of Environment. Thank you very much for joining us, Engineer Etigbue.
Thank you very much for welcoming me to this engagement this evening.
All right, we're already seeing the signs following the 2024 flood annual outlook. What do you make out of all this? These are challenges we hear every year, and responses from the federal government, even at the subnationals, has been consistent. But the main issue here is averting these challenges we get to see happen, because we see livelihoods, being destroyed.
Thank you. Actually, it has been said, the challenges are there, and we've been having this problem over time. And with time, from what we are seeing, it looks like the tempo is increasing. But you can't rule out the situation in which we find ourselves, especially with the climate change issues resulting to the sea rise in our communities, as well as the issue of flash flooding, urban flooding, as well as river flooding. So in that case, we are looking at the whole issue, knowing fully well that this is a multi-sectorial issue that needed to be addressed, in which case all sectors are called on board to come up with what they have towards this, and the agencies of government are all together trying to solve this problem. So, however, it is more of control and flood management.
So what is the level of synergy are you getting, especially with engagement with stakeholders, even at the state level? We're seeing some states already taking proactive steps with moves to demolish buildings on river channels, relocate residents, and also, clear blocked drainages. But what synergy are you getting? What's the level of awareness, ongoing, especially for states who are pinned to be high flood risk areas and moderate risk zones?
The synergy is very, very encouraging in the sense that for us at the federal level, we try as much as possible to collaborate with the subnationals, in which case, like the recent events that took place, the Ministry of Environment had talked to the subnationals, wrote them letters telling them to engage in education towards what they need to do in anticipation of the flooding that may occur, in which case people to be advised on what they need to do, at the same time urging them to galvanize and put in place the emergency response issues and their emergency preparedness systems in case such flooding comes up. In that case, all the states that have been identified to be in such a position to witness this flooding have been written, and communication, as well as the FCT, they've been informed accordingly. And the reports we are getting is also very, very encouraging. At the same time, we have what we call flood early warning system, in which case we predict the flooding in 5 days interval. And in that case, whatever we get as alert and the system will inform the states. And not only informing them, we also follow the message up to see what they are doing and the level of the flooding. that will also advise us on future actions to be taken.
And talking about actions, let's look at key policy implementation and, of course, enforcement processes. Experts have called for legal framework to strengthen institutions, people who are responsible to take this action when we're talking enforcement. Engineer, you agree with me that most of the times, the residents are adamant to move from their central homes and all of that. What level of enforcement will be carried out?
Yes, it is a natural thing for human beings to resist movement. But then, what is needed seriously in that regard is education. And in that case, telling them the consequences of leaving their abode. However, the subnationals are on top of their game, in which case the residents in those flood-prone areas are urged to move to the higher ground, of which, when there is a cessation of the flooding, they will come back to their abode. So again, enforcement does not really mean using force. You can encourage somebody by telling him or her the consequences of being at the floodplain, at the flood areas, so that he will see and know fully well. In some areas, the response we were getting, like in some areas, we found out that those people are already aware that the flood will come at a particular time. In some places, they even have boat, and they also build their houses in such a way that they can move up to the higher state. Then at the end of the recession of the flood, they will come back, because definitely they will expect the flood to come.
It's quite unfortunate. Let's take a break. We'll pick up with the conversation when we return. Good to have you stay with us. The conversation is on averting the challenges of perennial flooding in Nigeria. Engineer Etigbue is our guest. Engineer, I wanted to tell us if you've taken the sensitization a bit further. No sensitization is too much, especially when lives are involved. Are you involving community heads, religious leaders?
Yes. In this issue of flooding, which we all know transcends the whole community and the whole facet of Nigeria, we as a government and in the ministry involve all the stakeholders. We also work towards engaging them, creating awareness, telling them what to expect and what they need to do when there are issues. So we are engaging them, I will say.
Okay, part of the long-term solutions that have been recommended is construction of dams, diversion of water levels, to canals and all of that. But let's look at the short-term, people, community engagement, to make that proactive steps, talking about citizens now, not to throw refuse in drainages, to block where waterways are supposed to flow. What are you getting, as part of this sensitization? What would you tell Nigerians, to be part of this process?
Yes, the government is doing a lot towards that. And like citizens, the awareness as at this time is on the improving level. Because you can see some people are now refraining from dropping their refuse into the waterways and constructed channels. And like I told you, that is multi-sectorial. In as much as we are doing the same, the communities are also engaged, and they're also telling their people not to throw their dustbins and their refuse into the water channel. And with a lot of levels of engagement are doing that, and we're encouraged from what we are saying. But then again, you cannot say that we've gotten it to where we want it to be. And at the same time, it's a work in progress. We're engaging them, and we are getting everybody involved in all ramifications. And no sooner than later, we will have that target where we are looking forward to see the Nigerian and changing the attitude towards using water flow as a conveyance channel to take care of their waste. We are doing that.
All right. Thank you very much, Engineer Dilichukwu Joe Etigwe. He's the Director, Erosion, Flood and Coastal Zone Management Department at the Federal Ministry of Environment. Thank you for your insight on Weekend File. And let's hope that everyone involved do the needful.
It's a pleasure.